Have a Wish podcast. This is your host, Cabin Black. And today's podcast is going to kick off a whole new series. The series is entitled Deconstruction of Faith and Religion: The Impact of White Eurocentric Christianity on the Black Psyche. Is of chocolate black people from antiquity until now. But the movies and the films showcase something different, especially the historical films and movies. It doesn't resemble the real. Whiteness in film versus the real. The indigenous Middle Eastern people are black. They may not consider themselves African. They may just only consider themselves as Arab because that's the Arabias. But the Arabias is a part of Africa and is a part of Asia. Some would suggest that Asia is an extension of Africa. Some would suggest that the Middle East is an extension of Africa. Depending on however you see it the way you do. But understand why you see it the way you do. And hopefully, once again, I'll be able to persuade and convince my audiences that all of this is connected to white Eurocentric playbook. Here's my last point on answering the question. There is a psychologist that I want to bring up that I want to talk about. The psychologist goes by the name of Dr. Joseph L. White. And I want to give 3 points here: his life's work, him as a founder, and his contribution. All of this can be found on my Substack, by the way. My Substack is Cabin Black. Okay. Dr. Joseph L. White is a black male psychologist. His life's work is one to mention. One to mention, not one to mention. One to mention is in 1968, he established the first Black studies program at San Francisco University. He also, second thing to mention, he wrote toward a Black psychology. And here's a great piece to the contributions from his life's work. He established the first Black Studies program during the 1968 strike at San Francisco State University. As far as his writings toward a Black psychology, his life's work argued that whatever the future of race relations and the destiny of Black people, I'm going to say Black peoples, the creation of a Black psychology was necessary. Here's the point. For the case of psychology created by white Euro people could never adequately apply to define African Americans. And I'm going to say a step forward. add another step to that, all Black people groups globally. Dr. White also, he pointed out that the application of white psychology to African Americans often led researchers to incorrectly conclude that African Americans were lacking and less than. So, from a science perspective, white Eurocentric people have had a bias behind their sciences, as this is just one to mention in psychology. So, he believed or believes that there has been a need and there is a need for Black psychology to address the psyche of Black, not only Black, and I'm saying this, not only Black Americans or African Americans, but also Black people groups globally. So that's my last point on there towards the what behind or the what about of whiteness in film, how cultures impact, excuse me, how images impact culture.
Okay, so another informative explanation from K-Ban. Um, okay, so for me, as an additional of the question, what is whiteness in film? So it's, well, upon again, through my research, it refers to the cinematic convention of positioning white identity and experiences as the universal unmarked default. So it's always the default. So for the filmmakers, it's always the white people are always the default, the main character for every cinema or movie. Do you have any? Do you have any addition?
I just want to I'm sorry to interrupt you. I want you to continue because you're doing a great job. I just wanted to bring out you that in your research you studied or you studied or you have brought out that what Eurocentric features have become the universal, right? You said that, right? Can you go back to that and address that one more time?
Okay, so again, it refers to the cinematic convention of positioning white identity and experiences as the universal. Okay, so as a universal unmarked default. So when we say universal, it centered them. So that's a problem. For me, that's a problem. And the filmmakers usually call or define as other races or darker skin as others for the movies. So basically, the filmmakers would choose first people who are white or people who have a whiter skin to be the main character in any movies. And then usually the darker skin will be the sidekick or a villain or the enemy of the main character, which is the white people. So yeah, that's for me. It's kind of sad for the movie industry, and I hope this will change in the future as we, discuss and understand that whiteness is just a race or it's just a color of the skin, and people with darker skin are sometimes, for me, sometimes are more eligible in some other ways. So that's for me. Do you have any additional?
Yes, thank you so much for being the host. You've done a great job of facilitating this episode. So, shouts out to you, Retzel. But thank you for doing a great job. Also, I want to not trying to switch gears, but can we expand the conversation a little bit? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Uh, what do you want to know?
Well, I want to actually talk about what you just brought out in films, right? You said it was a problem for you. It's a problem for me too, and I think it's a problem for a lot of people. Um, and a lot of people, meaning just as globally, not just individuals, but as a people of color, particularly specifically Black people. I think and not to speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure there's a population out there of people who think similar. I'm not saying they think the same way I do or you do, but I think there is enough thoughts, enough minds, enough intellectual people around the world, around the globe, who possesses this similar sentiments of what we're addressing here in this episode or this podcast or this series, starting out as the first episode here or first parts. Now, um, I want to talk about the representation in film because for the longest time in any movie, especially in America, anytime it's been shown, and if it's all white cast or majority all white cast and crew, we see that, oh, I have seen, and maybe the audience can relate to this, that the black characters are stupid characters. They're funny, they're goofy. So either they're made to be funny, to be comedic, or they're made to be stupid or dumb, or they're made to be criminal, or the undesirable of a society. Uh, they're showcasing biases and stereotypes and tropes that are coming from white Eurocentric minds and how they choose to represent themselves, white Euro people, and how they want the darker you are, the blacker you are, so to speak, to be represented in the films, right? And someone may be curious to say, well, how can you fathom that? How can you deduce that? Well, if we go back really quick and not trying to take you on a tangent, but if we can just quickly look back at the old films from the 1930s, the silent films from the 1920s and 30s, and then we walk right into the classic Hollywood 1940s and 50s, right? And we see all those old films. Of course, things have changed, but has the sentiment, has the tone changed? Meaning, as is it still the white hero, the white savior, the white genius? Doesn't matter if it's a male character or female character. They call them Mary Sue characters, characters that's specifically talking about women, white women, but I'm referring to both male and female, men and women. I know we live in a uh, sexist and gender expansive world right now, but I'm not speaking necessarily to that. And I respect those experiences and terminologies, and I think I will want to address that on a later series. As of right now, I just want to stick to the point where most people are going to understand what I'm saying. So, male and female, white males, white women, excuse me, white males, white females, white men, white women, showcased in the films back then. Of course, things have changed, but has the sentiment changed? Right? And then going from classic Hollywood, going into the 60s and 70s and all the revolutions and all the changes in films, black exploitation films, you know, we see all these different images from the 80s and 90s to the tens, the teens, and the 20s, where we are right now, the 2020s. Has much really changed in the sentiment, the nostalgia? That's just one to talk about. And how these whiteness in film. Whiteness in film is not just talking about white people in film. It's the sentiments, it's the nostalgia, it's the witchcraft, as I would call it, the vexation of spirit, as I will call it, the image making, playing with people's psyche and images, how that impacts cultures, how cultures change over time, evolve because of how images are displayed. It's very important. You even brought out something about Asia, about the Philippines. I brought out something about America, North America, right? I'm pretty sure it happens globally. This is not just a one off or isolated thing. These are not pockets experiences, these are global experiences. How This is why the title is very important, and this is why the study in the series is very important, I believe, because it talks about people. A lot of people are talking about a lot of things in films, but I don't think they're talking about this in this way. There are a lot of people who are doing critical work, who are doing great work, who are breaking down quote unquote whiteness in film. This is just my brick. This is just my understanding. This is just my breakdown and what I think is needed to talk about whiteness in film, how images impact cultures, cultures going back to how they do things, the morality, how they see life, their group think tanks, their how they process things as a ethnicity operating from a culture because they are a group, their traditions, what they pass down, their behaviors, how they display their culture. All these things are impacted by images. So that's why I wanted to bring this out. That's the why, the what. And that's my last point on this topic. I give it back over to you.
Okay, so thank you for that explanation of what is whiteness in film. So again, for me, it's universal. It's a centered idea of whiteness or people who have white skin. And that's for me. So um again, thank you for listening. Again, thank you for understanding our sentiments, our overview of some things. So, do you have any last words?
For this series, I hope it does well. I hope people really, the audience, whoever listens to this, I hope they will consider and hopefully they will choose to be persuaded and or at least be open-minded, be a free thinker to consider the possibility of what um, Cafe Wish podcast introducing this segment, Whiteness in Film, how it impacts, how images impact cultures. Hopefully, the audiences will try to unpack that themselves, and hopefully, we all come to the same conclusion regarding this topic. So we'll see. That's it.
Okay, so another, another session has been ended. Thank you for listening. Again, be smart, be happy, and be healthy. Until we meet again for the next session, everyone, good night.